And I've got
So
my friend
as a taxpayer, you're already paying for
Emerson.
something.
That was
Then
the kicker. When I
daycare
was-
probably charging something to
He's as good as any guy. I've
You're
ever
paying
seen.
twice.
Oh, really?
He has incredible equipment.
If I were a taxpayer, it might be, I looked at
But
it.
Give me
Haley's
his
doing right
name
now as
and
well. That's what
number.
I'm doing right now. Sold.
Emerson, he was number one.
What's
Yeah,
that?
oh, a date-
Recording in progress.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, got it.
Wild.
Is he?
He's just that good. No, he's a CFO for Northern.
Oh, okay.
But he works for me.
Same.
All right, let's call court order.
He works for
Morning,
me.
everyone. Today is Wednesday, July 31st, 2024, 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Thursday, July 25th, 2024 at 4:45 p.m.
All right, thank you. All right, let's pause brief for a moment of silence, and we'll let the pledge to the flag. Please join me in pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Pledge to the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you. There's no one from the public in the audience, and we had no one call in for public comment, so we will go to the, under D, under budgets, and turn it over to Francis regarding the FY '25 budget.
So today we need to go back to a few things, do some recaps and some summaries, see where we're at. And then ultimately, you'll be voting on the proposed tax rate.
Okay.
And before we leave today, and then we will be filing the proposed budget with the county clerk's office as well. I know we have Colin Coker with us, and I know you had mentioned maybe hearing from him on some changes that he was seeing in his department. So since he's here, do we want to go ahead and
Yes.
have him first? So Colin.
All right, good morning, and thank you so much for coming over and meeting with the court.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Judge, Commissioners. I guess, was there anything in particular that the court was wanting information on?
So there's a larger portion of your budget coming from the general fund, and I have found where the fund balance has dwindled through the years. So we have less of that to spend on their budget. So there's only about like an $850,000 increase in the budget,
In the actual
in
expenditures.
the actual expenditures.
Yes.
What are you seeing, Colin, as far as, do we have more juveniles? Or are you having to hang on to them longer? You know, just the overall state of the juvenile system here in McLennan County and the state.
So I did speak with Francis briefly yesterday as far as the transfer, and I think what we're seeing is it being reset to what it was pre-COVID, as far as what those numbers were.
All right.
So I think that, a lot of things kind of became artificially inflated or deflated over the last 4 years, as one would kind of predict because of the pandemic and the effects of the pandemic. One of those was our attrition rate and the number of open positions that we've had for the last 4 years. Most of the last 4 years, particularly back in detention, 55 budgeted full-time JSO positions throughout the course of that last 4 years. On average, over 20 of those have been vacant at any given time. At the high, it was 32. So those are fully budgeted for each year. So a lot of that was not being expended just because of the open positions. Here lately, we've gotten down, now we've got 14 open JSO positions. That's low, it's just been for 4 years. So as we keep filling those positions and keep retaining those employees, there's not going to be as much unexpended fund balance in those in the overall in the salary portion of my budget, which I think that's been the biggest increase to the unencumbered expenses has been the salary, if I'm not mistaken. And so I think that we're just seeing a reset for better or for worse for what the numbers were in pre-COVID, because that brings me to my second point, is that our numbers dropped, referrals dropped from 2019 to 2020. They dropped by a couple hundred referrals. And for 2021, it was the same. We were artificially deflated as far as those referrals went. It started uptick in 2022, I believe, and in 2023. And now it looks like in 2024, even though we still have a couple of months left, it looks like we're still not going to be up to the pre-COVID numbers as far as referrals, but we'll be the closest that we've been since 2020. And so that's another factor. Another factor as far as the placement budget goes, usually I have a 600,000, had been 800,000 pre-COVID. I think we had 800,000 in local funds going to placements, getting another 200,000 from give or take in grant funds that we use for placements. So a little shy of $1 million usually for placements each year, even when it was 800,000. And again, during the COVID, we lowered that to 600,000, I believe, in 2022 or 21, I believe. We've still had to put money in there from year to year because we were over on the placement budget. Also, looking at so that was overall. That's what we're looking at as far as placement budget. Started this fiscal year with 800 or 600,000 of local funds and about another 200,000 in grant funds. We did see an increase in placements, but the cause and effects are kind of multi-causal or multi-influenced because as the court is aware, we have a post program in-house that we've been operating for decades. Well, we shut that down in March of 2020 because we anticipated that COVID was going to hit us staff-wise, and we can't close detention down. So we were going to have to concentrate all of our manpower and logistics to detention to keep it open. I didn't anticipate it was going to be 4 years with some pretty rough staffing that we, looking back, I still don't know how we were able to succeed because it got pretty intense from time to time throughout the pandemic. Right. But so we shut our PRP program down. So those kids that were going to the PRP, we moved to to our contract placements. So that's another reason for the slight or for the increase. Another reason for the increase is that just like everything else, cost of doing business increased. Some of our placements back in 2019, they were charging us under $200, $150, $160 per day for placements. Now they're up to almost $300 per day. And that's been since 2019, so 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Prices have gone up each year as the cost of operating those facilities have gone up. We've seen it with detention, with salaries, with food, with the utilities and all that. So it's just been an inflation that's been across the board that hits us. Now there has been, and even though our referrals are lower than what they were back pre-COVID, the types of referrals that we started seeing about 2020, 2021, we started to see an uptick in felonies. Nothing substantial, but an uptick in felonies, particularly violent felonies with weapons. And then the other thing that was an uptick was every kid that comes in, we look at their needs. We look at not only their offense, but their needs. And we try to get we try to get the proper level of intervention that they need. And the more not severe, but the higher end ones are the ones being removed from the home, being placed in a residential placement or TJJD. We saw an uptick in juveniles coming to us that were on that higher end that we couldn't use outpatient on or put back in the community, that the only recourse for public safety or for rehabilitation or for a combination of the two was to send to placement. So that's, again, although those factors have contributed to the increase in placement. I do want to report to the court that we are aware, and there is a financial component to all of this because someone has to pay for those kids to go to placement, even though they need it and they get a lot of great rehabilitation out of it. It still costs money. probably around 20, well, no, it started probably back in 2017, 2018. TJJD, our oversight agency, Texas Juvenile Justice Department, came up with a diversionary grant. You had to apply for it, but it would basically reimburse 100% of your placement costs. Now, it doesn't reimburse medical, and another factor that goes into those placement costs are the medical. Medicaid does not cover the kids when they're in secure placements. They don't cover them when they're in our detention facility. So anything that happens to that kid, the county's on the hook for. We have to pay those. So the medical is a fairly large contributor to that increase as well, or the overall cost for the placements as well. But the grant R is something that we've been applying for to get that 100% reimbursements. We are going to be getting some money back that goes out that looks encumbered, but it comes back, but we get it back sporadically. TJJD is working on that to get it a little more consistent on when we get that, but talking to Haley, it's hard to predict when we get those reimbursement back, and it goes straight back into the fund balance for the placements. So there's a little artificial inflation right there because of that, but again, hopefully they're gonna kind of work on that.
So we haven't received a payment from them in a while, or what is
Yeah, I think we've only received 2 this year, but it's like a combination of months, and then you don't really know when the next one's coming.
Okay.
Again, they're going to be working on that. They know that some counties live paycheck to paycheck, so to speak, on those. And in order to place someone else,
Did you say that they prioritize counties like that more than a county like us that's a little more fiscally?
Well, so I'm happy to say that I get the every quarter I get the list of the counties, all 165 juvenile probation departments across the state of Texas. Broken down by region, I get the number of counties per county of how many grant Rs they've applied for and how many they've received. And Clinton County gets more than anyone else. We've been able to access that more than any other county or juvenile probation department in the state of Texas. So just like this current year, fiscal year 24, we've got 27 kids that we're getting that 100% reimbursement back. Last fiscal year, we had 31. Previous fiscal year, we had 28. That is well above most of the other counties. There's one that the second place is still just a far distant second place from what we did. So TJJD's been very gracious to us in order to allowing us to access those grant R funds.
Who writes your grants?
Well, those grants are, we get those every year. It's a state aid grant, which is based off of a mathematical formula, based off the size of the county, juvenile age population, referrals.
But you don't have a staff that has to regularly go in and...
We do have to do some grant work. I do some of it myself, and the auditor's department does another. There's a lot of reporting, initial budget. There's some obstacles that we have to navigate that's part of it, but it's not like we have to apply, do an RFP in order to get that. It's just a matter of we know how much we're going to get within a reasonable time frame, and it's a biennium basis, so we know every 2 fiscal years that we're going to be getting the same thing.
It's appropriated by the legislature.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And that's about $2 million, all said and done, that we get from the state. There's not as many grants as there used to be. There used to be quite a few of them, as Francis may remember, and Haley, it was hard to keep up with them. They consolidated, but they've kind of started going back to a bunch of different types of grants. So altogether, we get a state aid is the biggest one. We get another bit to pay for our licensing for our evidence-based assessment that we use. We get like 46 for Grant M that pays for a mental health provider. We get money for the JJAP from the state. Am I missing anything, or maybe? Yeah, those are the big ones. So
Are those reflected in the budget?
So all grants are kept in separate grant funds. And so they're not accounted for in this budget book that you see. But all grants have their own fund. And then when you look at the ACFR, when you look at the other governmental funds, and there's a detail on the back, you'll see all the grant funds listed within they're combined with special revenue funds, which are in this book. But if you ever want more information on them, please let me know. We do have them when we pull the monthly reports. All the grant funds are included in that information as well.
We also were able to access the Juvenile Accountability Block Grant through the hot cog. We get, again, that may differ from year to year, but I think this year it was well over $30,000 that we were going to be getting back in reimbursements from them. Add to that the grant R, as far as those reimbursements go. We do get a 15-20% of our budget, overall budget, more or less, is from state grants.
And specifically, you're asking, that fund is Fund 200, like if you're ever looking
Oh, the
at our
fund.
GL.
Yeah, okay, I remember that. Yeah, this fund.
All the 200 funds are grant funds primarily.
Okay.
To start with the two.
Mr. Smith, do you have a
Sorry.
question?
Colin, you mentioned 150 some odd juvenile probation departments across the state. And of course, there's 254 counties. So do we have, are all of our juveniles we work with from within our county?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So evidently some counties must contact.
Some have 3 or 4 counties,
Yeah.
usually depending on the size. There's multiple counties in a juvenile probation department jurisdiction.
Right, okay.
Other questions?
No.
Does that answer everything the court had?
Absolutely.
We really appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks.
Anytime.
coming.
Appreciate y'all's support. And
Good.
Oh, I had a question. So the runaway shelter, that's something we're not going to use any longer, is that correct? Or
that's been something that, as a matter of fact, the September 24th board meeting that I'm trying to set up,
Okay.
I've got some ideas that I want to run by the board first that are very unique and I think would be very vital for our kids, be a great benefit for the population and the families that we serve in order to use it. It wouldn't be used as a runaway shelter anymore. It would be a really a collaboration with Behavioral Health Network to do. It could be one of 2 ways, depends on a grant that BHN is applying for that they may get. And if that falls through, then there's a backup still utilizing a really strong collaboration with BHN to utilize that building.
so they've got a $500,000 grant that they're putting at the Clifton Street Crisis Center. No match. Well, it's in kind, our building. will
Yes,
be
sir.
the match.
Yes, sir.
And I'm just wondering if they're finding something like that, but separate because it'll be juvenile.
That was a last-minute write-in that when started a dialogue with them right before they submitted it. That was a last-minute write-in that they had on that particular grant to utilize our building, something very similar what they're wanting to do on Clifton Street.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Appreciate you.
Thank y'all
All
very
right,
much.
take care.
Have a great day.
Y'all too.
Okay, Francis.
We're going to start and just recap where we left off yesterday and just look at where we ended. And then there's, like I said, a few things we need to go back to
Okay.
and remind you all of. So we're in the main summary, as usual, in the general fund. And I'm just, up to this point, I want to just give you an update and highlight some of the things that we have done through this last week and a half. So this summary, as it stands right here, you had thrown out dropping or proposing a tax rate that was 1 penny below the current rate. So that's what's plugged in here. So as you look at these numbers, just to keep that in mind. The expenditure number, so all of the changes you have made have been spread in this spreadsheet to all the departments. And we can, extract those or change those if there's something you want to do there. But I just wanted to touch on that total expenditures number there of 157 million. So,
Where are you? Oh, okay.
sorry. So that total expenditures number over last year's adopted budget is about 5.7 million That's about a 5.7 million increase. It's 3.8%. If you take out and peel off that part that was juvenile, the increase is 3.4 million. So we walked through all those changes with an increase of 3.4 million or 2.4%. So I think if, looking at it with juvenile aside, that's what the difference is from year to year. And so what is included there? So of course we went through all the operating requests. We cut some, we questioned departments. You checked off some of them, and so that includes all of those those discussions that we had. You approved 10 new positions. We added 3.11% COLA to all of the eligible positions. We incorporated the 96% vacancy factor in budgeting, just budgeting, for full-time employees and some related taxes and benefits. This does not include any specific changes to the sheriff's office budgets as of yet, but we do have that estimate plugged into the budget. So once those decisions are made and more details are known, we'll spread those to the correct lines, but it does include an estimate for what that will be. And then, if you'll go down just a little further, I think. Then yesterday, it was also discussed, when we use that 96% factor for personnel, we literally changed the budget. We also looked at operating and using a 4% factor to not change the budget in any way, but just to incorporate it into what we think our ending fund balance will actually be. And so if that's, conservative and consistently, we are coming at least that under for the operating. And I know we talked about that yesterday. Let me know if y'all have any questions about that or how that works. But those things being said, we're end at 33.2%. And again, this is a 1 cent drop from the current tax rate.
So this 300, almost 8,000, is it represented at 0.2 on the 33?
That is correct. So any thoughts or any, like I said, we need to go back to a few things now, but I just wanted to start here again.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, anyone there? All right.
Oh, I do. I'm getting a little different number on that, for some reason on this. But it's, maybe my spreadsheet's not updating or something.
Which number?
On the 61,241.
Operating percentage?
Yeah. And what,
Oh,
so I see that's where Zane's truck is and,
so there were a few things to come back to. We just,
okay.
and we've had to make, some adjustments, and so we just have it in that column to show what we've loaded in.
On the Tyler software,
Yes, sir.
725, that's not using ARPA, right?
That is just the ongoing fees, not the
Ongoing.
one-time cost.
Ongoing costs,
Yes.
yeah.
Operate.
And we'll talk about that here in a
We
second.
don't want to bond it or
Yeah.
use ARPA.
No worries.
Okay.
And we were saying, we'd copied it over to y'all's drive and then made some adjustments, so that's why you're seeing that different number, Commissioner.
Okay.
But like all my other numbers are the same for some reason.
That one's not included in the formula.
Oh, it's not included in the formula?
No, these were just kind of,
Oh, okay.
that was for me to keep up with the other changes we made,
Oh, okay.
just to walk it forward.
But, okay, so, thank you.
Of course.
There it is.
Of that 157, 207, 896, and you compared it to last year and gave us a percentage, of that, how much of that increase is salary and how much of it is operating percentage-wise? Do you have that?
I can get it. I don't have it right in front of me. but it was primarily personnel.
Yeah, personnel driven.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Okay. So, going back to some items, yesterday we ended with talking about looking at retiree COLA. Someone said that y'all wanted to see some scenarios and what those amounts were. So we can look at that if you want to next. Do you want to share? Yeah. Okay.
So none of this reflects any amount of retiree COLA?
No.
And we only have, the 307 to play with.
Yeah, 307, yeah, right at 308.
And just to remind you,
And you've still got,
Unless we have other cuts.
and then you've also got, you may have this 101, 241 in additional expenditures.
Those are already embedded.
they're loaded
They're
into
already
the-
embedded?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. And I'll touch on those here.
It just keeps throwing me off.
I can move it if you want me to.
We appreciate how much you use the spreadsheet. So, and a reminder, when you adopt these COLAs for the retirees, they change the rates unless you pay it down in a lump sum amount. They change your rate for years going forward. So it is adding to the layers of debt on our TCDRS plan. So that first one with the orange box, that's a 1%. And you can see there that next year that would,
Is that anywhere on our?
no, sir, I'm sorry.
Okay,
I
so
pulled it and didn't save it. That's my fault.
Gotta look up there.
But you'll see that for 2025, that would roughly change the amount by 236,000. And then you can see there across, then a 2% next year would cost 472,000, and then again, increasing further for 3%. I need a laser pointer. And so then you can see all the years going forward, that affects those rates. And then at the very bottom, it'll tell you, and again, this is based on estimated payroll at this time. It will change each year. It's just the best estimate as of today. So on that 1% column, you'll see there that an estimated over those next years to be 3.6 million. And then if you scroll down just a bit more. And so if you were to make a lump sum payment to account for those changes over those years, if you made roughly a $2.2 million payment, that would peel off that layer and pay for it up front. So you always have that option when you do these types of things that you could pay it lump sum up front or pay it out over the years. So, and then you can see there along the bottom the difference.
I think I know this answer, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Can we use bond funds to pay that? Is that anywhere in our language?
I don't think you can.
I
mean,
would
Justin, you know the answer to that. I don't think you can use bond funds for any kind of
personnel,
personnel compensation. Yeah.
unless you went out for the
Right.
bond specifically for that.
Right, I don't think our language would cover that.
You're saying the language in the bond, but is there a statute?
I'm not certain, Judge, I'll see what I can find.
So,
That was a question I heard one time at a conference many years ago that came up, and it was a larger county that asked the question.
yeah, and you're not purchasing a long-term asset, but you are taking a long-term expense and matching it up with about the same term on a bond. So I can see that. It's just that you're not buying an asset. I mean, philosophically, I don't know
Right.
that you'd want to do it.
Right.
You definitely wouldn't want to do it to pay that one time.
Pay the one
Take
time.
bond fees, pay that 1 or 2 or 3% for this year. But to buy out that long-term debt,
You're just changing it from one long-term debt to another long-term debt.
yeah, right. Yeah.
And then here, since it is going,
So what is the interest rate that we pay on this? Is it 7% or something like that?
so
Or-
that's what I was gonna say. So when you funnel these additional amounts, when that percentage increases, when our annual percentage or contribution percentage increases, that's funneling money into our TCDRS account that then they use, of course, to
Yeah.
pay out. And so we are earning interest on that money that we put into our TCDRS account.
7%.
Yes, and so that's,
And we're on bond, we're paying.
so I know they're accounting for that when they show how much is needed. They're accounting for the earnings over the years as well, which has been backed off of that
Yeah.
in
So-
some way.
Talked to a bond guy yesterday, and it's actually under. They sold some bonds this week, or committed this week, I think, for slightly under 4%, which I was glad to hear.
That's
that.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's come down.
There's a big bond sale next week too, we can look at first week of August.
I like the line of thought and the train of thought. Just curious how the taxpayer would do that.
And then
Well,
is there,
it's
Well, it'd be kind of a
contingent
wash.
liability, so I think they just, I don't know why they would, it doesn't hurt them or really help them one way or the other.
We go from paying, what's our average interest rate that we're paying on our debt right now?
it's pretty low.
Do something.
Probably around 2, I would think.
To getting 7, paying 2.
The concept I like, I'm just saying that with the
Is
things that,
am I correct in that thinking?
Say it again then.
We're paying 2.5 to 3. Let's say we're paying between 2 and 3%.
Okay.
And we're gonna shift it to
Pay
TCDRs,
off the liability of 7.
and we're gonna get 7 for paying that off. We're getting 7% guaranteed to pay when we pay it off, correct?
I mean, I would think so, however you funnel money into the TCDRS plan, yes, it is earning interest. But I don't know, like you were asking, like if you can use bond.
Yeah, and I would want to know for sure if that's legal. And
So you're net-
and it's an easy question, and people like those bond counsels, like they can give it to you in a just quick.
bottom line, what you're saying is you net 5%.
Yeah.
And that's a smart move. We probably need to spell it out very clearly, just so we don't have people that go, oh, look at the other areas that.
And I'm only talking, I mean, the max that I would want to do on this is 2%. And if we can only do 1, then we can only do 1.
So we can do, go back to the yellow line, please, orange or whatever it was.
On the general fund.
Yeah, well, like it had the cost, the current cost for each percentage.
Oh.
That's down.
So like next
The
year's.
1% for this year would cost what?
$236,000.
We got 300 and something thousand to spend, we can do 1. Anything over that, we're gonna start getting in, we're gonna have to start cutting some other places.
If we're gonna, to stay above the 33.
Yeah,
Or at
the only reason we should ever go under 33 is emergency.
Emergency.
And we have a reason why we did it, and here's how we get back to the 33. And I just don't see this being a.
Can you show a history of what we've done with retirees?
Slow revenue growth is not,
Yeah,
slower revenue growth is not an emergency.
that's right.
I was gonna read.
Now, no revenue
Commissioner?
growth.
She's gonna show us a history of what we've done with retiree COLA.
So I'll tell you, just in my experience in when, your name's Ben, right? Ben and Will, I started saying Will, Win, instead of Ben, trying to get Will in there.
That'll work.
But whenever we had the really upside down situation, started in 2010, 11, 12, and the fix of it is quit doing everything. And one of them was we didn't do any COLAs
For a long time.
our current employees, so we sure couldn't justify doing retirees, but we kind of let it ride a while like that. And so we were getting a lot of calls and requests, from retirees saying, everyone else gets some kind of COLA in the retired deal. I don't know if that's right or not. I don't know what the market does. My retirement from where I left had a whole different, it doesn't even look like what we do, so,
Yours is 100% market-based, right?
yeah, I'm saying market.
I can relate, in my prior life, we were at the mercy of the state, and I think in 21 years, we got in two bumps
Different codes.
On your retirement?
uh,
Yeah, right.
from teachers. So
Yeah.
it's, I knew that going in.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't, there's no agreement out there. Obviously, we can do whatever we want to do.
Just defined benefit plans when we first got in office. And people came to see me and say, hey, we need a raise for retirees. And I'm thinking, 401k, hey, that's not us. That's,
Yeah.
but now I learned a lot about defined benefit plans in a year. And
Yeah,
it truly is incumbent upon us to keep these folks in some kind of a touch with reality when it comes to inflation and their paychecks.
yeah. Yeah, there was communications that I've got to take on a little part-time job that I didn't think I'd have to do once I retired, because inflation's killing us and we're not getting a COBRA. And this was back, actually, right before COVID and all that, but anyhow, I don't know if we got a, moral obligation or a philosophical obligation or not. We've not done it. There's been years we purposely did not
Well,
cover for retirees.
we were justified when the three of us first came into office.
Yeah, I agree.
Because things had been run so poorly financially, and they were giving these retiree COLAs out like it was candy.
Yeah.
And so we stopped that practice, and so we've done the right thing as far as that goes. But
Well, they were just financing 100%.
yeah, right, right, and it and
46
yeah.
million at one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, and so what is our total, what's our total unfunded liability right now?
1 second, I'll tell you.
6 years, we haven't done anything since 2016.
Oh, for retirees?
Yeah.
So up there, you'll see there
Looks like 6 out of the.
2, 5, and 3 in the
Yeah,
last
we've
5
done,
years.
I know the last 2 years. Okay.
It has to be in, you can't be 0.5%.
Right.
It has to be around, it has to be a whole percentage.
2 or 3.
And what's our factor this year, our contribution rate?
We're at 6 still. That's unless you change
I'm
it.
sorry, it's 15.6 of payroll there.
Oh.
What is it looking like?
It's
What's forecasted?
currently with no change, it would be.
$14.47%.
Okay.
And the total liability?
I'm getting there. So our total liability, as of December of 2022, was 38 million.
December of 2022?
The way the reports run, that was in our last ACFR, so we won't have
33 million?
38 million.
38 million?
Yes.
There's something like $3 trillion of unfunded liability amongst all public sector pension in the whole U.S. I mean, it could be a nightmare if things go south, you know. I mean, the one thing, you know, is it's backed by the full faith and credit of McLennan County, obviously, and the state and this and that. But Bill Flores brought that to my attention, and I mean, it's always been there in the back of my mind. Some domino falls, somebody defaults, and you go. You know, there was a period in the 80s when pension plans went defunct. So, I mean,
Oh, the pension back, plans were buying.
yeah, right.
Never
By
mind,
buying buildings and stuff like that,
Well,
bad assets.
yeah, and,
Were they playing in hedge funds a little bit with it as well?
well, yeah.
Well, it was-
And, mortgage-backed securities,
Yeah,
they were a lie. They
Mhm.
were not good quality, but they were buying them.
And so none of this, I don't think, is
Yeah.
tied to that.
And I wanted to clarify, when that 38 million number, that's the net pension liability. So our pension liability is 356 million. Our pension asset, or our net position is 318 million. So that was the net pension liability number I gave you.
So our net, okay, say those numbers again.
So our total pension liability, 356 million. Of course, this changes, each year. And then our net fiduciary net position is 318 million. And so that gives us our net pension liability of roughly 38 million.
So explain we owe TCDRS $356 million.
That is what what their actuaries come up with for.
The next 30 years?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think, or if at this point in time, what they assume that will be.
And doesn't that put
And
us around, what, 80, or what was the amount that were funded?
Yeah, so,
80,
right,
is
that's, we're about almost 90%
90%.
funded, 88, 85.
Which is
You
not a
remember
bad
that?
place to be.
You remember that?
And we'll have TCDRS's report.
If everybody retired today,
Yes.
We got 90%.
we'd have to come up with $38 million.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I think that's
That's the good way.
it's a very, hard number to
that's the-
touch, but, and we should, if they don't already have it, we should have the next TCRS report soon, since the year is getting close to ending. So when we get that, it's always incorporated into the ACFR, of course, but I'll make sure that y'all all have that as well. If you want to look at it and study it, and if there's any questions, we can have TCRS help answer any of those.
So my thought is, why don't we put in 1% today? And then, in August, if we find, more cuts, because I don't think anybody's in the mood to go through this thing line by line today.
We've already been there.
I mean, I think that's what, I agree 100%. We'll take the one, let's put one in there right
Let's
there.
put in one there.
We've got cash to cover it.
Yeah, and
And-
if we find cuts, we can all go back to our offices over the next 4 weeks and go through this thing with a fine tooth comb and ask questions and come back on next Tuesday or the Tuesday after that, or all the way up until August whenever, and at that point, if there's more available, we can give it to
Commissioner
them.
Smith always asks the question, when people come in here and they're paying off, or buying huge amounts of supplies.
We're not,
Are you taking any of that out of the 25 budget? I mean, if you're gonna pay for all that, you had the money now and you put it in, you're paying for it
Yeah,
now.
so that's-
Are you creating some slack over here? And that's a great question.
right.
And if we can discover that here pretty quick, then it comes back into discretionary money that we can apply either to retirees or something.
That's the thing, if they're gonna buy it in '24, They ought to take it out of 25.
Yes, and we do
So
try to
it's
keep up
not
with
such a-
departments on that as much as possible.
That way they leave it in the fund balance.
Sometimes it's hard to do that, though.
So to get to 2%, we just need to come up with the difference in the 236, 342 and the 472,
Right.
684.
Yeah. Mr. Smith, do you have any thoughts on this? You've been
No,
kind
but you took the words pretty much out of my mouth. Any of the money we don't spend between now and the end of this budget year is money that's reflected here
Yeah,
and, to our benefit.
And so it would be if, when we project, we've already taken account those excess funds into the fund balance.
And
But again, there's no way to know exactly what'll be spent.
You're right. And I would hope that departments, elected officials who are listening and tuned in, understand what we're trying to do.
so if we get a quicker benefit, if they'll use the 25 budget, because that leaves that fund balance becomes apparent. In other words, what was left over in the 24 budget that's transferred into next year, that's gonna go right into your unassigned fund balance.
Yeah, so we've tried to already account for that just by estimating the projections.
Oh,
And so
okay.
whatever's left, that's what we fill in that starting fund balance. So
Okay.
we try, so what would happen is if we had 100% projected a line and they only spent 90 of it, that 10%, yes, would make a difference. But we're hoping when you sum it all together that our projections are pretty close.
Yeah, yeah, now they have,
Altogether, it's hard, it's hard.
That's
to
where we
know.
want to beat your projections.
Yes,
And
please do.
I'm much in favor of between now and, unless it can be classified as an emergency item, I don't understand the need to spend it this year when it's not going to benefit this year.
Well, we don't need to go buying a bunch of paper towels to
Agreed.
It all adds up.
paper
It all adds
Windex.
up.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So 1% is we'll take, and then this affects the retirement rate that's spread, to all dollars of payroll. So what we'll probably do for the proposed is we'll keep it as a lump sum. And then, if we don't have time to do that today, but it's still gonna be in there in the budget. But you just may see it in a different way. I did want to point out too that, this is estimated rates going forward, but next year, if you decide we want to put in $1 million lump sum payment or $2 million lump sum payment, if things look different at the end of, at the end of this discussion next year, then that's going to affect those. So it's
right.
never too late to make some lump sum payments on any of these in any year.
What does that do to our
Well, it's
33.2%? Where does that,
We end up at right 33.
we end up right at 33, don't we?
We should.
Where'd it go? There it is. Mine's not, is it updated?
Yeah, you may just need to look at the screen
Okay.
for the time being.
Okay, goes to okay, we've knocked off 2 tens. Okay,
It's right there.
okay.
Close.
So we're honed in on where we want to be from that standpoint. So now, is there any internal adjustments that does not affect this bottom line to a negative standpoint? We may find something that makes it better.
Yes, yes.
We're in a good place, and now we can start answering any questions that are still out there on expenditures and all that.
And so that's where there's a few things I wanted to go back to, if we could, like on that topic, I think,
You bet.
if that's okay, next.
And somewhere around 10, I need to take just a sharp break and
Of course.
But go ahead.
We're good.
So these are just some things that I wanted to make sure that we just were all aware of and talked about. So on that last regular agenda, you approved applying for the grant for Trading House Lake, and there was a 50% match. I know that is all happening quickly behind the scenes. And so the match, I think, is going to be about, right now, I think it's about $500,000 would be our portion. I think this was mentioned, but just want to make sure.
Is it all cash or is it in kind or?
That's a good question.
I think it would be a cash match is how I understand it. But I think it was mentioned we would use bond funds for something like that. But I just wanted to say it while we're in the budget discussions in case that's something that in your mind, you wanted to use M&O tax rate
The
for
way
it.
I recall it is everybody's pretty comfortable with using bond funds
Okay,
because they're gonna be,
It's long-term.
Long-term,
I just wanted to just make sure so we don't get into next year and then
yeah. That
realize
doesn't
we
mean
wanted to do something
improvement won't
differently.
need maintenance, but it will be,
Okay, perfect.
yeah.
Also, Dustin and I had chatted off and on the last couple of days about some cost that would be associated with the judicial center, downtown jail, and those offices that are housed there, and what would we be doing, and I see him on, good, with those offices and the costs that may be associated with those.
Yeah.
And Dustin, did you want to speak on it before I kept going?
Sure, and then, and if TJ's on, if he wants to add anything, so we've been looking at the old Bank of America, the auto teller, drive-through building in the parking lot across the street from the courthouse as a potential location for ankle monitoring recovery healthcare. We've been working on some figures with Steve Sorrells. Looks like that lease would come in at about $3,000 a month. We could go ahead and get under contract on it on October 1st, which would help us be able to go in and make some minor modifications to that site. And then also 1211 Washington, I believe it's, $5,500 or so in going in and making some changes, adding a teller window to be able to accommodate hot checks and that group over there. Those are the ones that are located on the Columbus side of the downtown jail facility and will need to be relocated during construction of the judicial center.
1211 Columbus, Columbus?
Yeah, it's our building.
Sorry, 1211
We
Washington.
already own that, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
1211
one
Columbus,
with
that's
the
on
elevator.
Washington.
Yeah, 1211.
1211
That's
Washington.
the one we already own.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And so you were saying those costs to remodel 1211, that would be actually like making some new offices or walls, I guess?
And-
Okay,
TJ, are you on?
we could use permanent improvement for that.
What about, you already got teller windows over here.
Because this is gonna be a short-term deal, and that
Uh-huh.
might be a long-term.
Oh, okay.
Because we're just gonna
Yeah,
be
and-
renting this. Go ahead,
And
Dave.
just due to the traffic, so recovery healthcare clients are leaving the courthouse. It's an easy fit to go over there. There's already DA's office staff located at 1211 Washington, so they think the hot checks and P-tip makes a lot of sense to have them there as well. So, and I'll let me look. So TJ yesterday said create a teller style window, add a few data lines. Overall budget estimate would be around $5,400 to do that work at 1211 Washington.
And the drive-in spots that are there now are actually being utilized by the tenants of the building over there, so we couldn't use those drive-throughs anyway.
Okay.
So it would just be people, like, they're demanded, I guess you'd say, to go over to ankle monitoring, just like that, right now, they're going over here on Columbus and doing it, they just go on that side of the campus.
We'll have drive-through ankle monitoring.
Yeah, you just stick your foot out there.
I thought I was checking on.
I was thinking otherwise too.
So how much?
So the rental would be roughly 36,000 for the year. I think the other, we could take out a permanent improvement for the work that TJ is gonna do to the other, to our property. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the 36,000 would be something that would be coming out of general fund.
What's coming out of general again, the 36 on what?
The rental of the building.
The rental. Yeah,
Yes,
right.
sir. Yes,
Because
sir.
that's no, okay, there's no
There
improvement.
goes the retiree COLA.
And I'm sorry, if I could just mention something on Trading House really quickly. So Mundo reached out to us yesterday. They need pledge statements for the county on that 50% match, as well as something called a county overmatch. We're guessing if that's just if the budget runs over a little bit. So they're requesting a letter from me, one from me and one from TJ. We just wanted to make y'all aware and make sure you're comfortable with that. Then we'll ratify those next Tuesday. If that's
Okay, yeah, just bring the verbiage and we'll look at it.
okay.
Anything we can do out there, I think, is going to pay huge dividends in the future.
I agree.
Great. And I think Francis has done a good job of it, of finding places that we can spend bond money for that makes sense,
Yeah.
that makes everything look good. So that's, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Just an update, when Chip Sigmund with adult probation had presented his budget request.
Right.
And there was furniture that he had requested for his office, and y'all asked if he could half that and move it to multiple years. And so he did. So that cut about $18,000 roughly, a little more than 18,000 out of the budget. So that's been reflected, but I just wanted to give you an update there on that.
Well, we appreciate him working with us on that.
Yes, yes.
He always does.
He does. A touchback on the engineer's vehicle. So we had some discussion on that yesterday. We do still have that high-end estimate plugged in. And so I want to let you know it's in there. I know we're waiting
One,
on.
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, the engineer
Engineer
vehicle. I want you to know that we know that you have asked him to get some other
Catch you real
quotes.
quick on that.
Well, I talked to Dustin this morning, and I think what we do is y'all, I think y'all are all getting on exactly the right direction, but I think Dustin and Ken have been looking at some other options, but, what I suggested is find out, what are the basic needs first, in which, if it needs to be all-terrain, then it could be, either four-wheel drive or the all.
AWD.
Yeah, and then just large enough to carry any equipment. I don't know what equipment other than surveying equipment they would need, but, if it's something different. And then, Traverse and then Ford's got a mid-size car that's pretty handy. It does that, and then, don't need leather, you don't need all that kind of stuff. So get that basics down and then apply it to whatever vehicle Ken can, find. So Ken, you have some thoughts?
Well, I just wanted to say that we touched base with the salesman this morning. We definitely asked about the Traverse. We're still waiting for hard copies of the quotes, so we can kind of see maybe where some of the options that we add on, whether we could take those out and it makes a big difference or not. And I asked him this morning if we could get the quotes and just to share. Again, it's budget time for a lot of people, so they're working on a lot of quotes. But he's trying to get them to us as quick as he can, possibly later on today. It may be Friday. I mean, so it's at the mercy of the people that are working on the options for the vehicles. So, but we did add the Traverse to that. And again, if you have other vehicles maybe to take a look at, we'll work on that as well. But we're trying to get some on paper so we can see what we can add. Possibly take off for the cost of the vehicles.
Yeah, a lot of these things have now become standard, and it kind of forces the price up on the vehicle. But
Well, we were looking for some all-weather outfitting on the inside of the cab as well for the muddy roads and stuff that he could possibly be on. Just different options that were added on to the initial cost of the vehicle. So
Okay.
We can look at that.
yeah,
'Cause just thinking, it should look like what a road and bridge truck looks like on the inside.
Yeah.
Same purpose,
Yeah.
same use,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, one of our,
basic as possible.
They got bought one lately?
foremen.
like a pickup. Any of y'all bought any?
No,
We get 3/4 ton trucks.
Yeah, but
So
they wouldn't need that.
they don't need 3/4 ton.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good point. Yeah.
So just wanted to point out that we have that high-end number in there, and then we'll adjust it down when quotes are gathered and you make a decision, of course. But just to point that out.
Let's look at it from this standpoint, where it goes to a good, if we can save some money, it goes to a good purpose to maybe bump up retiree COLAs at 10 o'clock.
And then, I have one other thing, or do you want to go ahead and break?
Go ahead. Go
Okay,
ahead.
it was on IT assessments. So just like in the last day, I think or so, IT had learned that cost had gone up on computers for next year, different from what his original estimate was. And so, looking at what that increase was, I think he was estimating about $76,000, but he's also utilizing leftover funds this year to start purchasing 2025. And we think a net increase of about $20,000 for next year may be what we're looking at based on these increased costs. We'll continue to monitor that, of course, until the end of August, but it does seem like we do need to increase IT assessment some for these increases that he is seeing. So I wanted to get your feelings on that. And again, we're looking at like a net of 20,000 just because he's trying to accommodate as much as he can this year. And we knew that was the intent. Any?
If it's 20,000, whenever time and place comes, I think the contingency would be more than easy.
Okay.
Or more than easy to deal with.
So we'll just let it ride for now.
Yeah, and I
Yes.
appreciate this coming
Yes,
now
yes.
instead of in the shape of a budget amendment.
Okay,
Good job on that.
okay. So if you want
Okay, all right, it is 10:01, let's take I think 5 minutes ought to be good. Court back in session, it's 10:13.
So I guess let's go back to the summary real quick. I'm gonna put it up my bed thing.
I got a question. While
Yes.
we're back in
Did we
session.
gavel back in? Okay, sorry.
During the year, we get a lot of contracts that obviously don't come due right at the start of budget session. And very seldom, in fact, I don't ever remember any of those contracts not having an increase. So where does that, like, when we have to renew a contract and it comes in, it's 3% higher than what currently budgeted is, 5% higher than what we're paying right now, where does that money come from?
A lot of times, either purchasing or the department already knows, they've already got indication that those contracts are increasing. Sometimes it's within the contract that it will increase.
So that's
been
built in already.
accounted for. But there are times when something comes up mid-year and, we're thrown an amount that it will increase. If y'all approve it, then it's something not budgeted. A lot of times we can absorb it in the budget in that line item. It may be a minimal amount, but we do, if we can know what those amounts are, we've tried to, grab those during the budget process. But like you said, when they come all, due during different times of the year, it can be difficult to know, so.
Okay.
So I wanted to, are y'all ready to?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sorry, I didn't want to rush you. I wanted to just come back here after we've talked through those
It's
things.
not- That's the best thing that they ever come up with. Mobile deposit is just,
Even old people can do it.
I can never get the picture right.
Go right ahead.
Well, so we're back here, and so we hashed out a few of those things. We've added in that 1% estimate for retirement, and so there you can see there we're $20,000 over. I know we still need to add in that 36,000 rental cost, and that'll bring it down. But we'll just continue to work through the budget, the next month, and try to make some progress there and get that back down to zero.
my only thought is, and this just came to my mind, we're giving a 3.11% COLA. What if we just did 3% COLA?
What are you looking at me for? Well,
I thought that was the original number that we had started with, and then,
the number was from between 3 and 4.
Well, she recalculated.
Yeah, it was higher at one point.
yeah, I thought
The
when we
CPI
first
came
going
in,
with it was
the
3.
CPI came at 3.11.
And back even earlier than that, it was like 3.6, 6.2 or something. But it's until she nailed down to 3.1. That's fine. The whole purpose of keeping COLA away from everything else is it keeps us, we have always, in the last several years, came to the conclusion that the market out there is what we look to see how, and turnover on how we do compensation, those things. The thought was if we don't keep up with the cost of living, then we all of a sudden, all this work that we did to stay within this market range, we start dropping out of it if we go below COLA. We get above it if we go above COLA. That's the only thing. I don't think 0.11 is going to make that much difference.
I was gonna ask what that amount is.
So. Is this without the sheriff's office? So, and of course, the sheriff's office has, been kept separate
It's
this
a
year.
separate deal, yeah.
But the 0.11% is equal to $45,000, or 56,000
The total
with taxes and benefits.
Now, you would have to, your salary structure would go up a little bit because
Yeah, so some
that
of-
would,
So that helped get some of them to minimum.
right, yeah. So,
Better leave it as it is, you think?
If it's not gonna make any more difference than that.
that, yeah, if it's not, like, I thought if it was like $100,000 or a $300,000 difference,
conversation.
it would be worth to me, it would be worth the conversation, but not at $45,000.
And I think if you're, let's
Cause
say,
this much work.
if you're having a discussion with an employee, that you could say, you know, we've tried to be fair about this, and we use this index, and we do it the same way each year. So if inflation hits between now and the next time we do budget, we're gonna catch you up. It is in arrears, but still, we're gonna catch you up. When it starts going down, it's in arrears, so you get a little benefit as it's going down. So, Anna, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree with the summary that you just provided and about, the same formula being applied every year. And my previous estimate was 3.42, using information just through the month of May, but adding the month of June is what got us to the 3.11 estimate. So given that the previous month was higher, of course, my recommendation would be to stick with the 3.11 amount.
Any other thoughts?
I'm fine with 311.
Okay, I think we have a consensus. Okay.
So we'll let these things stick, and this will be our proposed budget that we will continue to work through this afternoon and get the document together. And of course, just proposed, so, nothing adopted as of yet, but, if you don't mind going back up to the very top. And then I know I said this earlier, but this was with a 1 cent drop from the current rate. And I wanted to see if there was any discussion there, or if that's what was the consensus on proposing. I just want to make sure I have the right figures
Well,
through in a bit.
And I was not here when y'all had that discussion, but I totally agree with you that we have been consistent in the last 7 or 8 years to lower the tax rate. Obviously, we couldn't do that if a tax base didn't go up. But still, I think it's something that's what we strive to do, is lower the tax rate. We were fortunate to be able to be at the no new revenue rate for a couple of years. And so I totally support this, but I think everybody agrees we're still going forward. We're going to be looking at everything, and if we see other chances to save, even if it's the rest of this year or going into next year, it's our job to make sure everything goes into the fund balance that ought to go in there, and keep an eye on spending. Our budget's gonna go up each year. As our population grows, with effects of inflation and all that. But I think that we continue to do the work to look at each item and make sure they're reasonable, and I feel comfortable we've done that at this point. Any other thoughts or comments?
There's been a lot of talk, thoughts shared, ideas thrown out to get to here, and I feel good about it.
I do too.
I'm okay.
All right, good.
So with that being said, I have one other thing I wanted to touch on, related to ARPA. That kind of connects to the budget as well. So if I could go through that, and then we'll do some housekeeping items, and then be ready for your vote if y'all are
Okay.
ready. I'm gonna share my screen. And Dustin, if you're on, feel free to chime in whenever you need to.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I wanted to walk through something, and I know I've talked with some of you about things like this, but just we want to pull it all together and just present this to you today. So the court has allocated ARPA funds, of course, for the Judicial Center project. Currently, there are 2 pots of allocations in ARPA for that facility. So there's the lost revenue replacement portion of a little over 9 million is what is currently in there for that purpose. And then there's a specific eligibility category that the HVAC bid packages fell in, which was 5 million. So we know that these costs are occurring, but due to the tight timeline of the grant, there's pressure, of course, to secure the proper bid packages by the end of the year, by a certain date. So we want to alleviate that pressure, and then we want to look at how we can do that. So what we can do is we can look at allocating previously allocated pieces of ARPA and look at other eligible uses while still staying within ARPA guidelines.
Okay.
So we have already discussed the last week and a half using a portion of that 5 million for the Tyler one-time cost for the new software. It falls within a very specific eligibility category there.
Rather than
Lost revenue, yes. There's, I think, efficiency of service or something like that is the title of it, and that's what those new software packages could fall in. The lost revenue piece was intended to cover, the federal government intended for it to cover possible losses of revenue during COVID. And luckily, we didn't see those, but the use of those funds is very broad. And so generally, it says to cover general government services. So there are many uses for those funds, but the one area that we've specifically targeted is personnel. Our consultant, Forvis, they have also agreed that that is seems very reasonable and is a good way to reallocate those funds. We already have everything documented. Those costs have already occurred in this fiscal year, and so they agreed that that would be a reasonable way to use the funds. So if we are using the lost revenue piece, the 9 million, for something different like personnel, of course, it's going to free up budgeted funds in the general fund, right? You would be reclassing personnel to a grant fund. And so ultimately, if we did that in this current year, it would increase our beginning fund balance moving into next year. So does that make sense so far?
yes,
Okay.
to me it does.
So
Repeat.
I'm sorry, go.
Please repeat that.
So if we reclassed $9 million of personnel expenditures in our current fiscal year in 2024 to a grant fund, then our beginning fund balance is going to increase by 9 million, what we've been looking at. And I'm getting to that here I'll show you what this will do.
What does that look like?
Go ahead,
So-
I'll hold my questions.
Okay, so up here, this is an excerpt from that sheet, that main summary sheet that we've been looking at. And so that first box, and this number may have changed since we started playing with it today, of course. But you'll see there that top yellow number, the 71 million. So that's the number that's been plugged in there. If we had $9 million of expenditures that we reclassed to a grant fund in this current year, if you go over to the right side, you'll see that our beginning fund balance would then be 80 million. So then,
Where's that revenue decrease come from?
so what I have here then is you'll see that moving from left to right then, we have also decreased the amount of tax revenues by 9 million.
How
And
do
then
you
you
do
get your
that?
same, that's what I'm getting.
How do you do it?
So then you get to the same.
How do you do
result.
it?
Okay. So
Oh.
this is kind of weird, but as I go down, I wanted to show it piece by piece. So we're looking at 2 funding sources. We have our M&O tax rate, and then we have ARPA funding. So your tax rate is 2 pieces, M&O and INS. INS is spoken for, all those things. There's nothing we can do to change it. M&O, what M&O funds, of course, are two funds, our general fund and our permanent improvement fund. When you get a tax bill, you don't see any breakdown of that. It's just the M&O tax rate. Some counties actually put it all in one fund. Some do it different ways. We keep it separate, but in the end, the M&O tax rate is funding both of those funds. And of course, the ARPA funding goes into a separate ARPA grant fund. And y'all just stop me if this isn't making sense. So currently, if we pretended like this $9 million was the only $9 million in the general fund, if we took everything else out, you'll see there that originally we had $9 million in tax revenue in general fund that was funding this $9 million in personnel, right? On the ARPA side, we have $9 million in lost revenue. If we adjusted this, you will see here.
Oh, boy, I like that idea.
Oh my gosh, I cannot get this Zoom thing to. Okay, so what we would do is we would.
And then we could take out a permanent improvement
For the judicial.
now, anytime.
And so this is
that
where-
stays in there, right?
Yes. And so what happens here is that right now, consistently, we've been moving, when we look at the general fund, what the intent has been is that we'll take $1 million of that revenue and move it to permanent improvement. And so when you look at those numbers, that's embedded in there. But in this case, we would add $9 million to it. Sorry, Commissioner.
So we could take out the $1 million and put 9 and have 8. And move that $1 million to either to the tax rate or to the retiree COLA.
I think you would still want to keep that $1 million for those reoccurring 401 costs, but yes, we can come back to that. But this $9 million would be up and above something that we had already, counted on for a piece of the judicial center, but we'll come back to that. And then revised revenue, of course, the $9 million in ARPA is the $9 million in ARPA. Currently, the way it is that we had $9 million expenditures in general fund that were accounted for by this ad valorem tax. And so that was for personnel. And then we had allocated $9 million in capital project expenditures in ARPA to eat up that revenue. Am I still making some sense? It's a hard thing to explain. And so if we revise that, we flip-flop those. So we move personnel expenditures now to ARPA, and then the $9 million for capital projects comes there, and your net is 0.
Yep.
So this is how we would still expense the $9 million for the judicial center because it was already allocated. But again, freeing up fund balance in general fund allows us to transfer more to the permanent improvement fund, and that's completely allowable. And it also just allows us not to have to alter the tax rate, because that $9 million is reoccurring. That $9 million in personnel is not going away. So we need to retain our tax rate as much as possible.
Right. That was
And
my
then-
question, yeah.
And then the permanent improvement fund can be used for the judicial center project or other capital projects. So in summary, the adjustment, if we made this adjustment to utilize ARPA for personnel cost, it will unencumber budgeted funds in the general fund, and then it'll allow us to encumber more funds in the permanent improvement fund, all within the M&O tax rate. So again, just remember, I know sometimes we just talk about general fund, but there are two funds that are being funded through that one piece of the tax rate. And in the end, it enables us to keep the same level of funding for the judicial center, but with just a more flexible timeline. There's nothing that says, we had to use ARPA for that.
It's that
It's just-
deadline, yeah.
It takes that pressure off, and it was going to, work out either way, but this just takes a little bit of pressure off of
Is this a
those grant
strategy
timelines.
that's being used elsewhere with these type funds, or is this something you guys?
Well, with lost revenue, the lost revenue portion, every county is probably something different. I know some counties had to use that because they truly did see a loss in revenue.
Yeah.
They had to replace that, and so they were having to use it for general operating cost. But the intent of it was for general operating cost. using it for a capital project was completely okay as well. But that was the original intent for it. And so this is, again, we're doing exactly what we were doing before. It's just really taking the pressure off of
From the
all
timeline
this
that we.
grant timelines and, so, there's a lot to digest, I feel like. And we can leave it as is for now. So what we could do is if maybe on one of the next regular agendas in August, if you wanted to specifically, approve reallocating ARPA funds in this way, we would make the adjustments and then we would come back to the budget and increase that transfer to permanent improvement. Same end result. And that's a lot to take in today, so we can talk about it further.
It makes good sense. It makes good sense.
Let me ask, Dustin, I know you're part of the vetting process on this. Couple of thoughts.
Yes.
First of all, like Commissioner Perry asked, is this, we really vetted it and it can be used this way. And then any other thoughts on allocation you might have?
No, definitely it can be used like this. And I think just as Francis said, it just, instead of having that December 31st, 2024 deadline hanging over us, it just gives us flexibility. And I know Francis kind of touched on the Tyler portion of it as well.
Right.
And the way we've looked at it, if we were going to be moving to Tyler anyway, that expense was going to be inside the general fund. If we use ARPA for it, it's a known dedicated category that Francis, Haley, myself, Mike, and four of us have all looked at and said, yes, it fits. And it just takes a little bit of the pressure off of trying to get that other $5 million allocated between now and the end of December. And it just makes a lot of sense to do it this way. It's not like an easy button or any way, but it is something that it just takes pressure off. And in case we're not guessing on, well, is the structural steel for the lobby, is that going to be okay to fit inside of ARPA, where maybe we can shrink it down where it is just truly the HVAC mechanical equipment where we know it's a definite fit.
Yeah.
So go into 401 and what does 401 look like with all that?
Sure pulls a lot of pressure off deadlines, Commissioner.
I agree.
Takes the pressure off deadlines, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we have to understand the reason we have to leave our tax rate is because in 2026, we have to absorb that 9 million back into personnel.
Yes, and so it's just utilizing it for permanent improvement and then, and that's something we could have done any year. You can say, hey, we have excess fund balance, we'd like to use it for.
That's not correct. We're not, because we're still, we still have the same in 25. It's not, this is taken out of 24, not 25.
Yes, so the personnel expenses have already occurred, of course, in 2024 that we can reclass.
Right.
So when we do that, your fund balance for general fund is gonna all of a sudden go up 9 million.
9 million.
Apart from what we've already estimated. And so that's where then, we can move 9 million of that.
No, we're
ad
not
valorem
spending any
But
more
at some point,
or any,
that personnel cost goes back into.
Yeah, it's in there in 25
it
already.
already is in there in
Yes.
25.
And so what's accounting for it is that jump in
And
general fund.
And our 0.319805 accounts for that 9 million.
Yes, sir. And Haley pulled up the permanent improvement fund, and so
So that's,
she just plugged in there sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm just picking that head right quick, that brain.
Yeah.
well, so, I mean, that's what I was saying. Why wouldn't we, so in 401 here, take that $1 million that's coming from the general fund this year and allocate it towards to other things. I mean, that would be since we're doing this big we're doing this big transfer from
If
ARPA.
I'm sorry, if I could, I think we just have to remember the downtown jail, it's gonna be a 50 to $55 million project more than likely. And we were counting on that 9 million.
Dustin,
lost revenue.
you've got $40 million in unallocated bond funds.
Well, but there's, I think
This is
there's
unallocated,
other,
it's
You got a $55
unallocated.
million project.
But, and then you possibly could sell another, I mean, you could I mean, it'll be easy to sell, another bond to finish out that project. I mean, that's the whole idea of that project is to use
Then that
bonds
absorbs
and,
everything.
bonds
That'd
and,
take all of your bond, would it?
bonds and, you know, a growing county like ours ought to be selling bonds every year.
Justin, finish your thought.
and Francis, were there other projects that may come out of that bond fund? I guess that's the part that I just want to clear up, but I'm just thinking, it's still an unknown, it's 50 to 55 million. I know when we looked before, we were thinking 9 million lost revenue, 5 million from the ARPA general category. So now that general category's probably been cut in half. So we have about 11 and a half from ARPA plus bond funds to get us to a 50 or $55 million project. So I'm just thinking big picture.
Yes, and then the bond funds too, you know, we're constantly approving projects, probably every month to come out of there. The new bridges, low water crossings, we're pushing all of that now. And so those build up quickly, you know, just like that cash match, even for like the Trading House Lake. So those just kind of have added up. They add up quickly over a year.
But it was my
So-
understanding that we're prepared, and the will of the court was to sell another bond in October. Is that correct?
Well, yeah, sometime during the year, we.
Yeah.
So if you-
Sometime during the year,
Look at these rates and kind of like.
and we'll have a better understanding of, hopefully in the next month or two, or 3 or 6, we will get an idea of what the downtown jail's total cost is gonna be, correct?
Mhm.
Right, we'll start having bid packages go out in sometime September, October. That'll be that initial round. So, you know, bid packages will keep following in 25 before we actually get the guaranteed maximum price.
So, I mean, simply what I was saying and what about the question that Commissioner Perry was asking is that we take this $1 million that's going in there and move it over into regular operating to offset the cost of the sheriff's step plan and things like
And
that.
that being said, so then if we fast forward to next year, if we want to continue putting $1 million over into permanent improvement, we would already be like in a hole. Because those, you know, that $1 million that we'd be covering in general fund would be reoccurring. And then we would have to increase it the tax rate to account for another $1 million moving to 401, if that's what we
But
continue.
if you keep the tax rate the same, if you don't, you're just, I mean, I'm just talking about, you know, offsetting some of these one-time costs over here in
Well, the sheriff's office, well,
operating.
I mean, that will be, if that's you know, once that goes into effect, that will only continue to
Your salary
grow.
schedule?
Yes, that will be in there every year. So, and we can continue to talk on that.
Okay.
So so what does 401 look like?
So Haley just quickly plugged in that 9 million there, and so you can see there that, of course, that brings up the revenues to right at 10 million, because we only had $1 million going in there. And then at the top there, you'll see And there is some in contingencies. But, oh, sorry.
Oh, in the bond fund.
So we'd have, 13 million in contingencies, which we always leave some in contingencies there for the projects that come up during the year that we don't want to use bond funds for. And just not knowing that, really that total cost for the judicial center, I think it would be good to have a little bit of extra in there as well. But again, it's just, it's hard to know right now, not knowing the exact amount, so, of what that project's gonna cost.
So your funds available, so your funds available goes from, goes from 5.8 to 14.56. And then you've got a $40 million. If you'll look at the bond funds tab and the permanent.
On the tab on that one.
It was on a,
Or something.
No, I don't have that same sheet.
Yeah, we're on a different sheet right now, but I know what you're.
that one.
And so these are things that have been formally, of course, approved to this point. And so at the bottom there, you'll see the difference.
You got 40.8 million unallocated. So I said that's 14.
Yeah, this was updated, I think, as of May. So there have been things added to it that y'all all have approved in court.
Right.
We'll get another number. But like I said, as you just approve things, we keep adding to them.
And so Zane's got, what was that sheet that he handed out? How many dollars worth of work is on there?
It was, man, I don't have that with me. $50 million.
Well, forget it. It doesn't matter.
Haley's got it. Haley was prepared here. So estimated, of course, like after estimated grant funding, it's 29 million.
That was the total of his list?
Yes.
And some of those projects are years out
Way out, yeah.
and things like that, so.
Still a lot of money.
And again, that's where another bond sale factors in.
Well, we can continue this conversation,
Yeah, let's think
in
about
the
that.
next weeks. But does that, I guess I just wanted to make sure that made sense about the ARPA move, so, okay.
I just feel like certain things that having to do with the software purchase and all that we can get money out of ARPA off a schedule, get it spent, we're done with it. That's been something that's been kind of on our mind. And then be sure that we're matching up other expenditures to fund them from the proper place, whether it's bonds or permanent improvement or whatever, but this might be one week.
One question I would like to know from our architects on our jail. I know what the estimate was originally, and I know what building costs have done. Did they build that escalator in when they did the original estimate on what it would cost to build the jail? When the estimate came out originally on what it would cost to renovate the jail and build it
Dustin, you
out?
might go over that, and I think inflation was keeping it a moving target.
Yeah,
But
I'm
go-
wondering how much inflation they built into it.
Yeah,
There was an escalation figure accounted for, and then when Irwin got brought on board, they took an even more detailed look at it. The last conversation we had with Kevin on budget numbers, I think it's when he presented to court, he still felt comfortable in that $50 to $55 million range. But we're getting to the point now where I think we can get some better estimates. And as Commissioner Jones said, I mean, we're going to be moving towards getting a guaranteed maximum price. But I'll reach back out to John Bennett and Kevin and just see what they're thinking and see if they still feel comfortable in that range. It originally started out at back in 2017, it would have been a $24 million project. And then it has just grown over time. But we did cut out some elements like removing the connectors and those things. But let us just do a kind of a deep dive with them, then we'll report back if that's okay.
Okay, thank you.
I think Zane, he just sent me, I think it's like a $29 million. I'm looking at this right.
On the
Yeah.
bridge and road.
Right, there's 31 projects.
Okay,
Uh,
yeah, I think that's what they said.
yeah,
But-
but just remember, those can't happen overnight.
That's what we were talking about. Those aren't gonna happen
Okay,
overnight.
yeah.
28.9, yeah, he sent the same thing to me, so, I mean, I'm in favor of, moving forward with that. And, maybe we dedicate an entire bond to that, to
His report.
to this list, because we're not anywhere close to our bond, our maximum, what is it, 80 cents or something like that? Is our max tax rate 80%, 80 cents? And then there's something in there, and then you can only have a certain amount of INS also, half of that only can be INS.
I'd have to
What
go
is
back
our,
and remember the
right,
details.
what is our INS right now?
Our INS is 0.028725, so 2.9 cents,
2 cents.
2.9.
So we haven't been really changing it that much because we're letting debt roll off as we add debt back home.
Right,
So
yeah.
it doesn't change it, but,
Right.
Hey, let's stop just a minute. I want to go into executive session under 551.074 on personnel matters, and I'd like for just Dustin to come down and just the commissioner stay in the court.
It's digging ditches everywhere.
Recording in progress.
Okay, let's jump back into regular session. All right, Francis, pick up where we left off.
So I think then we're just ready to go ahead and do some housekeeping items and then go ahead and
Let's do
if
it.
one of you wants to propose the tax rate.
All right?
So I do want to ask you on, and we have this calendar that has the blue shading.
Right.
I'll update it after we decide what time for the evening public hearing, and then we'll push it back out on OneDrive.
And what's
if it's-
quickly, what's the rule on the public hearing?
So for the tax rate, you have to have it one hearing if you propose above the no new revenue. So
Okay.
we did, of course, if you propose the 1 cent drop, but it's not to the no new revenue. And that is on Tuesday, August 20th. And we had evening marked down because it seemed like that was what you all wanted to do. 5:30?
Yeah, is that all right with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna send us all this?
Yes, we'll update this calendar and then we can send it
We don't
out
need a quorum. Right?
Everybody here.
on the,
I thought you have to have it.
for the hearing.
For the tax rate, everybody has to be here, right?
For the, when you adopt it, that'll be on August the 27th.
Yeah, so that's when we need to all be here.
But you'll just have to read that. You can cut that part off. I just marked it through. but-
So I'll read this right here.
And then a record vote, a second record vote. And then you have to state for the 2 hearings when those are. And then-
Okay, and just a statement on that.
Yes, sir. Just for information purposes.
Do I read this right here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good. All right. Okay. And I'll put this in the form of motion. I propose a tax rate of 0.319805 for the 2024 tax year. This rate is comprised of 0.028725 for interest and sinking fund and 0.29108 for maintenance and operations. So I made the motion. Is there a second out there?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and second by Commissioner Perry. Call for any discussion.
What about that second part of that statement down there? Does
We
that-
don't need that one.
We don't
today.
need that one?
No.
No.
Okay.
So any questions or comments? If not, let's call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Judge Bolton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass. All right, the public hearing on the 2024 tax rate is scheduled for Tuesday, August 20th, 2024 at 5:30 PM in the McLennan County Commissioners Courtroom. And the public hearing on the proposed FY 25 budget is set for Tuesday, August 27th, 2024 at 9 AM in the McLennan County Commissioners Courtroom. The budget and the tax rate will be adopted on August the 27th, 2024 in McLennan County Commissioners Court. All right? Anything else today?
That is all I have today.
All right, Dustin, do you have anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, anyone else have anything? All right, well, we will stand adjourned.